Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to go over the Lynx whiteboard interface and learn more about what all the buttons on your screen are for. We're also going to go into detail about the annotation tools, so what pens and other options are available for you when you're using Lynx whiteboard on a touchscreen. So let's begin here with the bottom row of buttons here on screen. So as you can see, this bottom left here is the main menu. You may have noticed me using that in previous videos to do things like save or go back to my dashboard to get to the menu in Lynx. So that's a very helpful button here. You should also be aware that the options to customize how Lynx works for you, maybe adjust some of the spell check or fonts, is available in this window as well. The last one here in the main menu that I want to point out is Start Presenting. Presentation mode is a very useful mode that we're going to talk more about in successive videos, but essentially it gives you a stripped down version of the Lynx interface. Gone are many of these options along the bottom to be replaced only with annotation tools, and in this mode, it's much more difficult for students to accidentally or potentially on purpose remove some of the content. They're not able to delete a picture or move the instructions around or change what the text says or anything like that. So it's definitely a useful mode to keep in mind. Now, next over here, we have the buttons to advance to the next or previous slides, as well as to create a new page. There's also a button to view all the slide thumbnails, so you can jump anywhere in your lesson instead of having to go one by one. Now, I'm going to skip the middle part for now, but over here on the right, it's pretty straightforward. You'll be able to see a trash can that will clear everything on your screen, as well as undo and redo arrows in case you make a mistake. All right, let's move to the next screen here and take a look at these center buttons. So the first one that's selected is the Select tool, and that's just an option to click and drag or interact with things on the screen. So if you have a video, you'll be able to push the play button. If you have a shape, you'll be able to move and resize that shape on screen. But the most interesting one, I think, for much of our instruction is the second option, the pen tools. So now if I click one more time on that pen option here, you'll see a little pop-up that allows me to customize exactly what kind of pen I'm using. And there are a ton of really fun options here. First of all, I want to point out that there's this second button up here that allows you to change the color and, importantly, the width of what you are writing. I think the default is pretty fine, very narrow. So if you are working in the front of the classroom on one of the interactive flat panel displays, you may want to increase the width of your pen tool just so all the students are able to see it. Now, it's pretty much just your choice whether you prefer the calligraphy pen or the fine-tipped marker, but they are your typical writing tools. Obviously, this would be much easier if I was using a touchscreen, but you can see it does indeed work with keyboard and mouse as well, since I am just using a mouse with my computer right now. One thing that I think is even more useful in a lot of scenarios is the laser pointer. So the laser pointer allows you to draw a line on screen that is only going to persist for a few seconds, then it's going to start fading away. So it's perfect for indicating where you want students to direct their attention in a temporary manner. Really good for using with other slide-based lessons. Now, moving down the list here, elementary teachers are probably going to really appreciate the rainbow and the animated rainbow. I find that the rainbow pen is really useful for students who are just learning how to write. So when you're practicing handwriting, especially with those younger kids, you want to be sure that they're making the correct strokes in the correct order. And the rainbow pen actually is going to let you do that because it will make every single stroke of the pen a different color. So students can very easily see how they are supposed to be writing their letters. And you can see, if you're evaluating student work, when they lifted up their pen or when they decided to maybe draw that letter in a creative way that we probably shouldn't be encouraging. So the rainbow pen, while it is also very flashy and colorful and fun, it does have a very practical use in the classroom as well. Now, the animated rainbow pen is even more fun, but perhaps a little less utilitarian. The animated rainbow, I think, is great for drawing students' attention because it's going to constantly cycle through the colors one after another. So I would use this sparingly to draw students' focus into a particular area of the screen because they're probably not going to be able to take their eyes off that animated rainbow pen very easily. So I would use that one sparingly, but it definitely does have a place. All right, the next row down here is text, shape, and math pens. These do exactly what you would think. They convert what you are writing by hand into a font. So if I can just give that a second, there we go. It's converted it into text. Now that it's done that, I can use the pointer tool to select it, resize it, even rotate it, just like any other object. And let's select the shape pen. Now, if you're like me and you struggle to draw really regular geometric shapes, especially when using a mouse, the shape pen is going to be a big help to you. It does take just a second to convert those shapes, but then, as you saw with the text, I can continue to transform them if I need to. Now, the math pen, for those teachers out there who are teaching math, is perhaps the most exciting because it is going to format your equations and turn them from chicken scratches into a very nicely formatted mathematical equation. With certain types of equations, such as simple arithmetic and multiplication and division, you will notice it actually will give you a blank box here at the end. So it's solved that equation automatically. It'll let the students try to solve it, and then you can move that box out of the way to reveal the correct answer. And it doesn't just do addition and subtraction. It will format, for example, more complex equations just fine. Let's try and see if it converts that. It did, no problem. Now I can move that around on my screen, whatever I need to do. There's one more that I want to show you that's not in the pen tool actually, but it's in the little plus button right here on the end. And that is content and shapes. Content we're going to get into in the next video, but shape will allow you to draw a solid shape of any color right there on your screen. So let me just do a square and a circle, and then I'll show you another fun tool, especially for you teachers who are teaching fractions. So if I click into this, it looks a little bit like an X-Acto knife, this icon, and select crop, I'm going to select shape split. And let's go ahead and shape split this quadrilateral maybe into 4 equal boxes. And I can do the same thing with my circle up here. Get some pi wedges, maybe 6 would be good. Now if I go back to my select tool, I can actually break those shapes apart and continue my fraction lesson. Very quick and easy. This shape split tool will only work with quadrilaterals and circles. So it's not going to work, for example, with triangles or stars or any of those more irregular shapes. But if you are learning fractions, this can be an invaluable tool to show students how to break up larger parts of a whole. All right, there are more fun annotation tools that we don't have time to get into today, so I would encourage you to open up Lynx Whiteboard on your own and try out some of these tools yourself. There's a lot to explore here, and they're a lot of fun.